Like this one where hello everyone. Welcome to the Eric and Liz show. We have a wonderful guest today. How are you, Eric?
Oh, I'm very well, and thank you for introducing me as a guest. Uh, you know what? What's really funny? It seems to be every time the same thing happening. So that is interesting. So let me just get rid of the sharing. Go back to normal, and again, welcome everybody. Hello, everybody, to the Eric and Liz show.
All right. Welcome, welcome.
That's really what I love about the live aspect of this. Um, but nevertheless, still let's have people enjoy our teaser for this show. Okay, here we go. Yeah. And our special guest, Shelley Ware.
Yes.
Yeah, I just have to play it again. It's so great. Yeah, I'm like, okay, stop sharing. Back to amateur hour. So, Liz, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Just taking things one day at a time, getting ready for the show.
That is
Hmm.
nice.
Right. Getting
I'm
ready for
like,
the show and the show for next Thursday as well.
yeah, we have. I mean, usually we don't want to speak that early in the show already about next show, but I think we really can. We're going to have, since it's Cancer Awareness Month, still we're
Mhm.
going to have a cancer survivor, and we're going to have also someone coming back to the show, Liz.
Right, that's going to be Jaleesa Webb Dudley, the divorce coach, and she wants to give us a few tips about relationships.
Yeah, and it's actually very interesting because now we're COVID is COVID-19. It's getting longer. It looks like that there's not going to be any immediate solution to the problems, and some relationships are really getting strained.
Yes, they are. They are. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
So,
pretty well. It's just hard, and I mean, we're going to talk about it today too. With Shelley Ware.
yes, Shelley Ware is the founder of the Counseling Clinic in Long Beach, California, and she is a licensed marriage family therapist. And we are
Yeah.
so happy to have her join us today.
Oh, very happy. And it's like, so we're going to have the before, and next show we're going to have the after,
Right?
which I know sometimes that sounds cruel, but you know what? I went through it myself, and um, we tried to fix it, my ex-wife and I, and
Mhm.
well, I kind of already took that one ahead, because she is my ex-wife, but we couldn't work our relationship out as husband and wife,
Mhm.
um, but we were able to work it out as divorcees, which
Right.
is very interesting too. There is a life after divorce, and it doesn't have to be War of the Roses.
Right. Enemies, you
Exactly.
do.
Even that I kind of like the movie because it's entertaining, but the reality of it is it's ugly, and especially when children are involved.
Yes.
So you're trying
Exactly.
to make kind of the best of it.
Right, exactly.
But anyhow, let's keep that for now, because Shelley is going to be on with us in a couple of minutes. Um, we know that today is kind of a weird special day because it's, the last presidential debate.
Yes, it is.
And I really have no idea if I should look forward to it or not, because I mean, the first one was kind of disappointing. The second one didn't happen, and I don't know. I don't see people really mute Donald Trump. So let's see
Right.
how that's going to go.
Yes. They have new rules now. So, I'm wishing the best for, you know, my side.
Yeah, for well, our kind of mutual side,
Uh-huh.
we are on, but
Right.
um, let's see. It's going to be a very interesting um, election.
Debate and yeah,
Yeah,
debate,
debate and so on.
election.
And you know what's really weird? I do have a European passport. I actually never applied for, and I decided to apply for it only if we continue going in the same direction. I'm like, dang. I know. Well, there's also the other option, and that California, after all, is going to go independent.
Mm-hmm.
Which last election I thought, that's pretty over the top. This
Right.
time I'm like, well, if we go on with the same government, well, maybe that's an option.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, anyhow, um, our rule, let's not talk about politics or religion. Okay, I broke it, so, well, okay, let's drink to that.
All right.
Cheers.
H2O for me.
H2O for you.
Yes.
Little red wine for me, and that's, I think, now the cue to let our guest
Our
in.
special guest in.
Yeah.
Oops.
Hello, Shelley.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Shelley.
Wunderbar.
All right. I love that background. Wow. You look
You.
awesome.
Thank you. So do you
You're
back.
welcome. Thank you.
Good, good, good. What? Liz.
All right. Let me do my introduction. We have Shelley Ware, founder of the Counseling Clinic, licensed marriage family therapist, joining us today from Long Beach, California. Welcome, Shelley Ware. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hello, Shelley.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that said, I would love to have you talk a little bit about what you do, and then we have a few questions for you.
Okay. So like you said, I'm a marriage and family therapist. I'm licensed in the state of California. And so I see clients all throughout the state, not just, in my area. Right now, because of COVID-19, I only do telehealth right now,
Right.
which is using Zoom, just like we're doing to see clients. But I work with both men and women, but primarily I receive a lot of calls from women mainly
Right.
to do their relationships as well as parenting. And on the relationship side, I work with a lot of women who are either going through a breakup, trying to decide, which direction they want to go, a breakup or stay, and women who are dating again after that and trying to navigate the dating scene. And then on the parenting end, I work with step parents, co-parents, single parents, as well as new parents. So that includes moms who might be going through postpartum issues.
Right.
So those are some of the things that I help people navigate and work through. And I also work with people who have experienced trauma. So.
Okay. All right. So with that said, I have a question for you. What was your defining moment and when you decided that this is what you wanted to pursue, because you know this is a very delicate field and you're very good at this. So could you tell us a little bit about what was your defining moment that made you decide that you wanted to be a therapist?
I would say there were a few defining moments for me. I would say in high school, I've kind of always known that I enjoyed helping people in this way, or just listening to people and being available in that capacity. But when I went to college, I had no idea how I would make a living in the field of psychology. So I didn't pursue it. And I got a business degree instead and did that. And I was working in the business field, and then there was a layoff. And so I took that as an opportunity to go back to college to get a master's degree in psychology. And by then I had, heard more information about how would someone work in the field of psychology. And so that's how I pursued it. One of the other defining moments for me was when I was a little girl. My parents experienced a really traumatic event. My younger brother passed away. There was a drowning accident. And so just witnessing them go through all the things they went through, that was part of the reason I went into this field, because both of them sought out, counseling. But at that time, there were not a lot of, Black, Indigenous people of color as therapists.
Right,
And so
exactly.
that was also a motivating factor for me. So it was a combination of those things that kind of propelled me in that direction.
Wow, that's something.
I mean, that's pretty strong, I mean,
It is.
going through trauma yourself
Right.
and then taking that up to basically, not just self heal, but starting healing other people.
Mhm.
I would like to pick up on something that you said earlier, that you work with a lot of um, young women.
Mhm.
And, we're now finally, you tell me later, but coming to an age, where young women, are showing more emancipation, is in their role in a partnership of with young men or other young women. I mean, we have choices. So,
Mhm.
so how would you describe this new way of going about in those partnerships, trying to equal the playing field in a relationship?
Yeah, so I work with young women as well as older women, just to, clarify for anyone out there. But for young
Mhm.
women, you're right, things have changed. There's
Mhm.
a lot more, talk and some action about equality in the workplace, and,
Mhm.
more women in certain fields that they weren't in before. And that
Right.
definitely has an impact on romantic relationships. The trend or the theme that I've seen, what sometimes when I do couples therapy with people, is
Mhm.
that there's a difficulty going from the equality that needs to happen at work and societally, then
Mhm.
to transfer that into romance,
Mhm.
because sometimes everything cannot be 50-50 all the time in a healthy
Mhm.
relationship. That would
Right.
into like tit for tat, which is not healthy at all. And so there's a struggle to balance, okay, when do I let him do things for me? When do I pull back? Is it okay for me to want those things from someone, or am I supposed to be, equal and, and not
Mhm.
want those types of treatment? And do I have to throw chivalry out the window? And so those are some of the questions that a lot of young women struggle with is, am
Mhm.
I allowed to? And my, answer to them is usually, yes, you're allowed to.
Mm-hmm.
Still want those things, but to also, demand equal treatment in other spaces. And that, men and women have their own strengths that they bring.
Right.
To a relationship, and to just honor both of those sides, and that you don't have to,
Okay.
unless you want to, but you don't have
Right.
to take on a masculine role unless that's part of your personality as a heterosexual woman, because some women don't identify with being feminine, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But for them to be with someone who matches that energy, so
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't feel disharmonious for them.
Right.
Those are some of the things that they struggle with, as well as far as when they're dating and trying to figure out when is a good time to introduce intimacy, and are they going too fast? And if they are going too fast, whose business is it? If they're equal now, and women's rights and all of that,
Right.
and them wanting to balance that with being respected. And
Mm-hmm.
so to that, I just tell them to really check in with themselves about what they're comfortable with, and not to really follow what other people are doing,
Right.
but to balance that also with their long-term goals. Because if they're commitment minded, it may be good for them to be mindful of moving slower.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Oh,
So I have another. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just, that, it's very interesting because, like where, we come in so many different characters.
Mhm.
So to navigate that, I think must be quite difficult.
Quite difficult.
Because, there's more the impulsive personality, and there's more the, oh, I keep more to myself. And it's so funny because when reading the bio, you say, you didn't discover you were introvert, till, in your mid-20s.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, to get to that conclusion yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
just to say, sorry, Liz, it's all yours.
Oh, it's okay.
Well, just to go on that, that's about what is it, temperaments? So some people are extroverted, some people are introverted, which is something I talk to my clients about a lot, because it shows up in your mood or lack of moodiness, or the way that you interact with people, and the way that they understand you. So most extroverts recharge. It's not about shyness versus not being shy. It's about how you charge. So an extrovert needs people around them to feel energized, to feel happy, to feel uplifted. And then an introvert, they can enjoy those things, but after so much time, they need to recharge alone and take those breaks. So that's why they need to communicate that to people, because it could come across as, I don't want to be bothered, or I don't like you, which is not true. You just need a break. But if it's not communicated, it can become, there can be miscommunication. So.
Yeah, communication is so very important.
You just made me understand something, in me and my wife's relationship, I'm the extrovert and she's the introvert.
Yeah. Yeah, you usually end up with your opposite.
Right, your opposite. Yeah, that's what they say. Yes. So Shelley, I have another question for you. What are a few signs we should look for when a woman is going through a depression? And actually, what age does that start?
That can actually start as young as like a toddler phase, believe it or not. Yes, a toddler can be depressed.
Wow.
So what it looks like at each stage is, for a toddler, it wouldn't look like how it would look in a teen or an adult. it
Mhm.
may look like a lot of irritability. So a lot of tantrums, a lot of acting out,
Wow.
maybe difficulty soothing them. So if you try to hug them, they may push you away quite a bit.
Wow.
Things like that. Not enjoying some of the activities that you noticed used to give them enjoyment before, not wanting to
Mhm.
go outside.
Wow.
That's, going on. I've read some articles where some toddlers and kids, they have to, because of COVID, they're used to being inside. So
Right.
that you kind of have to give them a little nudge to go outside again. So those
Mhm.
are some signs for that age. For teens, also irritability,
Mhm.
isolating themselves.
Wow.
And then these other pieces can be in adults too, is a change in your biology, is what I tell
Mhm.
people. So if you
Mhm.
are oversleeping, not able to sleep, or your appetite is completely gone, or you're overeating. So those extremes
Wow.
when it comes to sleeping or appetite. Another one is, losing interest also in things that
Okay.
used to bring you enjoyment.
Mhm.
And then as far as for men, sometimes it can come out as anger. And
Mm.
so because sometimes the way boys are socialized to become men, it's
Right.
not always okay or socially acceptable for them to just express sadness. So it
Mhm.
can come out as anger. So sometimes it's really depression that's underneath, or reaching out for substances. And
Right.
then the other one is thoughts of suicide or
Mhm.
plan or self-harm. So like cutting or just
Right.
unsafe behaviors.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Toddlers. Wow. I'm
Yeah.
still on that. Yeah. I had
It-
no idea.
yeah.
I
Yes.
mean, gosh, I would nearly say that's a pretty depressive subject, literally.
Yeah.
And I don't know if me leading into this, but the holidays are around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people, yes, they are in a family environment, but there's also a lot of people which find themselves lonely by themselves. And I think that COVID, anyhow, for people which already felt lonely, might feel even more lonely during that time. So, what's the self care, or I don't even know if you could say there's self care
Mm.
for such a moment or that time period.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I would say specifically because this holiday season will be within COVID.
Mhm.
So this makes it even more isolating for some people.
Right.
Yeah.
Because before, some people who may not have made connections outside of family could at least visit family.
Right.
But for some, that may not be possible this year. But I
Mhm.
would say to really make use of technology right now. I know some people are
Mhm.
feeling burnt out, especially if they work from home and they use their computer a lot.
Right.
It's the last thing they want to do is get on Zoom again. Sometimes they're using their computer all day, but to really plan and be intentional about planning events through technology. So
Okay.
using Zoom, calling people,
Mhm.
taking yourself for a walk outside, getting sun.
Mhm.
That's helpful. If you have a pet, that's something that kind of soothes people and helps them regulate themselves as well. So those are some things. And if you
Mhm.
are in a position to be able to visit people in person, to do that,
Mhm.
if you're
Right. Mm.
comfortable, safe for you, but
Right.
really reach out and have community. So I think that that's really important. There's actually a organization. It's called Seven Cups. It's sevencups.com. And so they
Okay.
offer free,
Could you just spell that out for us?
yeah. So the number seven, and then cups, CUPS.com.
Okay.
So what it is it's an organization or a company, I should say. They offer therapy, but what they do is they have trained volunteers to offer free support to just listen to people.
Mm-hmm.
So the volunteers aren't therapists, but if you wanted, more help, you can request a therapist. But you just go on there, you call the number, and they have lots of volunteers who are trained to just listen,
Mm-hmm.
help people, to be supportive, to give them other resources. So I think that'll be helpful for people to reach out to, because there is the National Suicide Hotline, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people aren't feeling suicidal, but they just need someone to talk to.
Right.
So 7 Cups would be a good option.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. I never heard of that one. That's cool though. That,
Yeah, it's a good
things are in place,
Yeah.
for women and men to be able to call,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have another question. African American women are going through so much, and I know there's, a lot of women, I can generalize it, but African American women are going through so much right now. And it seems like no one is addressing it. So what do we tell our children? What do we, how does this look to them when they come to us and they see things on the news or hear about things? What are some good tips and ways that we can talk to our children about what's going on and feeling of this unfairness towards African American women?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And I know that both, men and women, just BIPOC, like Black, Indigenous, people of color, are feeling it because of just a lot of things that are going on where they're feeling pinpointed and isolated and not accepted for who they are. And so I would say to that, the best way is to keep an ongoing dialogue with your kids. It's not really just one talk with them. It's over the course of their lifetime. So for really young kids, it would just be an age appropriate conversation. And a good way to do that is through books, like when you're kids, and if they're catching the news, to describe to them what's happening.
Right.
And not just leave it up to their imagination, especially younger kids, because they'll feel it and it can look scary to them. And just to explain that, we're safe. There is a lot going on. I know you might be confused about why you're not in school. If they're not in school, I know you miss your friends. But right now, there's stuff going on that we don't all have an answer to. We're trying to work on it, but you're safe here with us. And whoever us is, whether that's with grandma or their parents or whoever's right. But to keep the dialogue open. Another thing is just teaching them about their history and the contributions they have made, because sometimes kids as well as adults can take on feeling like, because other people may not welcome us or be receptive to us, that we put that on ourselves and start to feel bad about ourselves. But the reality is there's, been a lot of contributions from African Americans. And we've contributed a lot to this country, and that it's okay to celebrate that history and to acknowledge, to yourself as well as to your kids, that just because certain people have an issue with you, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Very well said. Yeah, very well said.
Yeah, and true. Yeah, there are a lot of difficult subjects out there, and
absolutely,
you know, and sometimes, it's like that, there's something I just heard recently about, and um, I, I don't know how much truth there is in that, but I heard that disabled LGBT members could be turned away from social workers.
Yeah, this is just in Texas. So it's different in each state. So whenever there's licensed marriage and family therapists, but then there's
Yeah.
also social workers. And so
Mhm.
each of them have a board that issues their license, that looks out for the public if there's any complaints against those social workers or marriage and family therapists. And that board recently, it was in a news article through, I think it was Yahoo News,
Yeah.
that the board who governs the social workers has
Mhm.
made it okay for the social workers to decline giving services to someone who is from the LGBTQ community, and
Wow.
or someone if they don't want to work with them as a client.
Wow.
So, before this, like in California, as well as, many other states. So here is the Board of Behavioral Sciences.
Mhm.
So all the boards are similar. They may have different names state to state,
Mhm.
but it's to protect the public, and we all have a code of conduct, and to, help people. And if all therapists and social workers have a specialty sometimes, especially when they're in
Mhm.
private practice. And sometimes you aren't a good fit with the client, but to make it about either their gender identity,
Right.
their sexuality,
Yeah.
that's just unbelievable to me.
It is. That's discrimination. That's
It,
just,
it
it's
is.
crazy.
It is. And so
Yeah.
I came across that news yesterday, and it's disturbing because
Very.
like you talked about, African American women as well as
Mhm.
how they're feeling. Um,
Mhm.
so are those communities. They're feeling, ostracized.
Right.
So when you want to go to therapy, if you're at least in the state of Texas now, they could decline you and turn you away. And we don't know how many people this will impact, and how many therapists would or social workers would align with this instead of fighting it.
Right. Exactly. I
It's
don't know how
fascinating. But
it
you
is.
can have self-medication because you can have drive-through margaritas.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and it,
It's
right.
Wow.
that
That's
truly
something.
amazes me. But it's true. America is a big country,
Mhm.
and yes, there are 50 states, and
Mhm.
legislation. Like we know, if it's not federal, it's state legislation. So
Yeah,
well, let's see what's going to happen this election.
Yeah.
yeah.
So hey, with all that said, that encourages me to tell all the listeners to please go out and vote,
Yeah,
because it
I think
makes a
it's very
difference. It makes a
important.
difference.
The more people vote, at least we get, how shall I say, a real opinion.
Right.
If 75% of the people go voting, and it goes to one side or the other, at least you have a certain majority, and that's something which is tangible, understandable. If
Right.
it's like our last election, where the popular vote goes in one direction and policymaking is taken over from another direction, that is hard,
Right.
but that's the system we live in. And um, how shall I say, we do not have to accept the system we live in, and that's
Right.
why we can vote.
Exactly.
And many people, I think, just don't get the gravity or the importance of what that really means. I mean, even if you're in a state like California, which, well, we knew obviously, only 35% of the people voted Republican in 2016. That's actually a fact. I went back and checked it because I was just so interested. And your vote counts.
Yes, it
It's like
does.
it doesn't matter. You're hearing, especially after what we just talked about, what's going on in Texas. Um, I mean, isn't it in the Constitution that we are all equal?
Exactly. Last time I checked.
Yeah, no, but there you have those constitutionalists which are actually against it
Mm-hmm.
or not supporting that theory. And for me, that's fascinating. But we are in America. We are multicultural. Let's go out there and vote.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this time, man, we can really make a change.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I also wanted to mention on Shelley's website, in her blog section, she has some amazing stories that, our viewers can go and check out on her, go to her website.
Shelley,
And
would you still have time for me to pull up your website?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I need to tell everyone before you pull it up, it's
Mhm.
fine, you can pull it up, but it's under construction. Not that site, but I'm working on another site that
Right.
have the same web address, but just kind of redoing some things to reflect the other clients I serve. Because when I first started this business in 2018, I was
Mhm.
primarily working with step families. And so
Mhm.
it branched out. So some of it is listed here, but it'll be reflected more in the other site.
Right. That's going to be awesome. So we're going to put your information and some of the things you talked about today, like the sevencups.com. And we're going to put some of those things so that people can, make that connection if they need it.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but
Sure.
right now, if they would go on mycounselingclinic.com,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yes.
website is still active and
Yes, it is. But if
Mhm.
someone is watching this like later on, maybe next month, they'll watch this episode sometime. By then it'll look different. It'll be the
Right.
same
oh
web
yeah,
there was the same web address, but it'll look different. So
that's
Right.
okay. I'm used to that. Liz is a fashion designer, and believe me, every week she looks different.
I take that as a compliment. Thank you, Eric.
Of course, it's a compliment.
All right.
oh man.
Yes, yes.
So I see here you also have a blog.
I do. I have quite a few articles there that people can read through. There's articles about step families and step parenting.
Mhm.
About that one is about attachment, dating. What else is on there? Just single women, all types of different things.
Right. This is very interesting.
Mhm.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
All
then
right.
I'm like, you do have your work cut out for you. That's for sure.
Yes.
a lot going on. It is.
So how do you personally cope with that? Because I mean, um, usually people go to therapy, I think, not to tell you how happy they are, but how difficult it is for them to cope with certain situations in life.
Mhm.
So you must hear a lot. So what is
Absolutely.
your mechanism? Because I'm sure there are things, I mean, we all are professionals in whatever professional we do.
Mhm.
But in this case, I would say, emotions run deep.
Mhm.
They do. They do. So what I do to take care of myself is
Mhm.
to try to set boundaries, like workplace or business boundaries, I call them, on
Mhm.
what time I end the day, which is kind of late, but that's starting to taper off. But for me, I don't work on Fridays or the weekend. I only see clients Monday through Thursday. So that's one of the ways I take care of myself.
Mhm.
Um, I also, try to go on walks myself and try
Right.
to get outside. When I'm watching TV, I usually watch something that's really silly or
Mhm.
to do with stuff that's not even real to just
Like
Right.
Love
go
Actually.
somewhere else. Yeah, I journal a lot. So journaling is big.
Okay.
Talk to
Okay.
friends and family.
Mhm.
So those are the things that help me recharge. And then also, I think just like you were saying, everyone is a professional in whatever they do. Is
Mhm.
when you choose something like this, is to make sure that this is something you're passionate about. And
Right.
and sometimes, me and my clients are in here laughing,
Mhm.
even though the topic's not laughing at them, but they'll say something that's humorous or we'll crack up about something. And I think
Mhm.
the misconception that I want to help people with is that therapy is not always, like that. When you
Right.
have a good relationship with your therapist, it should feel
Mhm.
like you're talking to a really close friend
Right. Right. Exactly.
who's impartial, who doesn't know any of the people who can't gossip,
Right.
can't tell anyone what our clients are saying and give them
Mhm.
anything. So that's helpful also, that I enjoy what I do and seeing them progress and come in
Mhm.
one way and then come out of therapy a completely different way. So
Wow, that's
that's
awesome. And your business definitely has not suffered because of COVID. And that's awesome. I mean, that's great
yeah,
for
it's
you.
grown. It's grown. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's one
All
of
right.
those, unfortunately not. But hey, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
It's it's what it is, and I have to commend that because it's when you're in a relationship, it's already hard to listen to your partner sometimes. So when you do that, on a professional basis, and I mean, literally, you can't lose your cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with clients. With clients.
Yes, yes. Well, we didn't speak about afterwards. I
Right.
won't even ask you what you do on Fridays, but
Whatever she wants, huh?
Yeah,
Whatever she wants.
yeah.
That's right.
Paperwork, but then, like I said, going outside and, I mean, before COVID, hanging out with friends, spending time with my family. But
Right.
after, just, spending time with my daughter, she's only 3, so we go on
Mm-hmm.
walks and take the dog out and, do as much as possible outdoor activities
Mm-hmm.
and still
Exactly.
safe. But yeah, that's true.
All right. All right. So are there any other things you would like to add or say to our viewers, Shelley?
Yeah, I just wanted to, make everyone aware that this month in October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And so that also includes like intimate partner violence, because I think when people hear domestic, they just think of couples who are either
Married.
married or live together. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this can include teens who are dating each other, and one of
Wow.
them is being controlled or manipulated or physically abused, even or sexually by their
Wow.
partner. Um, and to just be mindful of those conversations to have with our girls as well as the boys.
Mm-hmm.
How, how to treat one another, how to be respectful, and that
Right.
a healthy relationship is based on respect. Like that's the
Exactly.
thing. And if anyone needs, outreach for that kind of help, they can go to, it's called thehotline.org,
Okay.
to reach out for that type of support.
Okay. Awesome. Thehotline.org.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
Shelley, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh,
Yes. Thank you for
very
joining
enlightening.
us.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
All right. And we'd love to have you come back again.
All right, thank you. I'll be happy to come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do another COVID assessment.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're wishing you the best with your business and, much continued success to you.
All right, thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
See you,
Take
Shelley.
care.
And everybody, bye. And yeah, go and see that debate.